Welcome to Navigating Your 20s. I'm your host, Jess Hugo, and I am so excited to have you here. I'm an online personal trainer and nutritionist, but honestly, underneath it all, I am just a girl who is struggling, thriving, and surviving somehow all at once. So if this is you, you are not alone. If you want all the juicy tea on what it's like to be a girl navigating her 20s, I'm talking relationships, health, fitness, social life, work, and everything in between, then you're in the right place.
Hello Queens, welcome back to Navigating Your 20s. I'm so excited to have you here. There are so many conversations I want to be having lately, but there is something that has been weighing heavily on my mind that I wanted to talk about for a while, and I was like, do I want to talk about it? Do I want to dredge it back up? Yes, I do, bitch. First of all, life update. I know you already know what's going on by the title, but life update. Oh my gosh. I celebrated one of my clients' 21st on the weekend. I actually feel like I have so many different clients going through so many different phases of their 20s, and I just feel like I love being there for it all, but this one was extra special because I've actually been training this girl since she was 17 years old, which is so whack and wild to me. I almost was like, has it been that long? Like, has it been since you were 17? Like, 17 feels so random to me, right? And then the reason I actually realized that I have been training her since 17 is because at my old job, we needed consent forms. If a client was under 18, we needed their parent to sign them off. She was almost 18, but still 18's 18, so we needed their parent to sign them off and kind of give us permission. And so that's how I know she was 17, because I actually met her mum at the time and her mum had to sign off her PT, which is so iconic. So I got to celebrate her 21st birthday, and it feels crazy and wild just because of how we've kind of progressed throughout time. And when I think about what I was doing when I was 21, it was COVID. And I just think like, wow, the pandemic has taken so much from us and it's changed so much from us. And this really did inspire this conversation, because did the pandemic fuck our 20s? I think yes. And this whole event kind of inspired this conversation, and there's so many things I want to go into it for, but this gets brought up all the time and I'm just like, I need to talk about this. So first and foremost, I'm obviously a little bit older than 21, so trying to have a conversation at this event with people I didn't know was really hard. I was really struggling, not on my end. I feel like I'm a yapper. You girls know that I am a yapper. So I was just yapping away and I was like, trying to make conversation. I'm a business owner. I can make conversation, you know what I mean? And it was very hard to crack into these people. And then I thought back to what was I like at 21? And I remember this same thing. I found it really hard when I was at uni trying to crack into talking to people and kind of, I don't know, just getting them to like come out of their shells. And I think post-COVID, a lot of us felt very like introverted. I think I am an introvert. It depends on the situation, but I think COVID kind of heightened this and made it even more wild and crazy, if that was even possible. And I think this stems into so many other factors: societal timelines, feeling stuck, not knowing where to move with relationships, friendships, jobs, and there's just so much pressure. And I think at the end of the day, it all spirals down to feeling confused, feeling embarrassed, feeling not good enough behind all of the things. And I think it did fuck our 20s, because our 20s is for making mistakes, learning new things about ourselves, just like doing the most whack, wild, crazy shit, changing jobs, changing friendship groups, trying different things. I myself changed my degree twice, then fucking deferred anyway, like just so many different things. But COVID did kind of like stunt that and stop us from being able to experience new things. And it does kind of make us feel like we're behind. We don't know how to kind of navigate social events and not knowing how to kind of have that small talk and things. And even recently, I was talking with my mum about just like, moving out, and like no one can afford to do anything anymore. And it's a constant conversation of like always feeling like you're behind because parents had it all by then. Does that make sense? Like my mum was like, at your age I already had kids, and I was like, oh my god, here we fucking go. If you know, you know. I was like, I actually couldn't care less. It's also funny because I have an older sibling, so I'm like, you should be projecting this onto them because they're still living at home. I have time. I was like, I'm just a baby. I'm, still in my early 20s. She's like, well, when I was your age. So I just know that, if you struggle with that conversation, I have that same conversation, and I completely feel you and understand exactly what you're feeling, because what the fuck is the even societal timeline anyway? I've said this before, it needs to be chucked in the bin. Why are we still holding on to societal timelines when there is no societal timeline? Plus, I also already have a kid. Her name is Lulu and she's sleeping in this video. Hi. I just think that it is absolutely insane. And okay, so you're probably feeling a bit behind, feeling like it's so hard to make friends. And I sometimes feel the same. I have lots of friends through clients. I live through my clients. I consider them all really, really good friends and I love having conversations with them. And, you know, I get a lot of my socializing through them, honestly. But as I was saying, I was at this 21st. I didn't know anyone there but the girl, obviously, and my partner. And then I was, just having conversations, asking what people did, stuff like that. And I felt like no one wanted to talk about themselves. No one wanted to like talk about anything. And I think it's because we get stuck in this weird thing of we are behind because of the pandemic, right? So like, did the pandemic fuck our 20s? I'm going to say fucking yes. Yes, it did. Because how the hell did we go from being little outdoor kids and not even having any devices to being confined into our fucking bedrooms, our childhood bedrooms on Zoom, doing all of the things? And I hate the little recap of, okay, I love it and I hate it. Oh my God, I scared the dog. Sorry. I love it and I hate it because sometimes I will read a book and they'll bring up the pandemic and I'm like, oh, don't talk about it. Like it just feels like a constant conversation. But then sometimes I love it. And I've read a book before. I actually can't remember the name. So I'll leave it in the description below because it was a 5-star read, but I read it 3 years ago maybe, and I just hated that the whole thing was about the pandemic, but then I loved it. I literally 5-star read it. So I do hate bringing it up and like kind of like bringing up the past with it all, but I think it's important. So kind of like what shifted for me was in 2020 and 2021, I thought I had it all figured out. I graduated in 2019 and I was ready to go. I had my uni offer. I had my scholarship uni offer. I was going to be doing a double degree with law and I think it was sociology. I think that's what it actually was because then I ended up transferring and going into psychology on it. So I think originally it was sociology. I wanted to do psych, but they didn't have psych where I got offered the scholarship, but I wanted a scholarship, whatever. So I thought I was like, I've got to figure it out. I'm going to uni. I'm going to be studying law. I'm going to become a lawyer because I'm such an opinionated bitch. And I think it's so funny. Sometimes people say to me like, weren't you studying law? And like, now you're doing this. I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm so much further ahead than I would have been if I was like studying law. I would have only like just been graduating, which is absolutely insane. Is it not? Like I would be graduating this year. Yeah, this year. And like, that's a really long time. Like I've already set up my whole business and everything like that. I've already got, you know, all of these things going on. And so I think sometimes people can bring it up in a really bitchy way. And I'm like, I'm actually happy that I've changed the trajectory. But would that have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic? I don't think so, right? So like, you know, I thought I had it all figured out. I was going to uni doing all of the things. I only was there for a couple weeks on campus before everything shut down. At this point, I was 20 kilos heavier, okay? And I think this was a make or break time for everyone. Some people were getting on their hot girl shit, me. Some people were realizing they needed to do something, but the panic was too much. And some people went the whole other way. And I don't think I think a lot of people still kind of resent the way they kind of treated that situation. I do sometimes will like get into a lot of conversations and inquiries like, I gained so much weight in COVID, like COVID weight. And I just think like, there was no right or wrong. It was such an uncertain time and we didn't actually know what was happening. And whether you gain weight, lost weight, maintain weight, whatever the fuck happened for you then, it's actually okay. And I don't think you need to tell yourself you're wrong for that because there is no right and wrong in that time. It was so uncertain. No one knew what was happening. Some people really mentally declined. And I think, you know, mental health always prevails, and I don't think that your weight was the most important thing in this time. But in terms of me and my story, I guess I was like, I am really unhappy in my body. I remember something that triggered this for me was I was trying to find outfits to wear to uni. Obviously, I just spent the last couple years at school wearing a school uniform, not having to kind of figure out what I like to wear, not having to figure out what my size even was, because at my school they like tailored the uniform to you, so they weren't even like really sizes because you got them altered before you started the school year. So I don't even think I really knew what size I was at the end of the day. Just big is what I knew. Like I was like, oh my God, I just, because you guys, if you know, I couldn't really like shop in like Cotton On and stuff. I couldn't find like my size. Back then I think they only went to a 16. I think now it might be, it's not good enough, but I don't think it's that high. So I could never find my size in store. It was like I think, did they do numbers? I don't know. It was like a large or something like that. I never really knew my size. And then by the time uni started, I felt like I had no clothes, but I couldn't buy anything because I didn't fit in anything. I was fucking petrified of the change room. I didn't want to go look at what I fucking look like in the change room. Absolutely not. I could never find any of my clothes in store. It was like a bit of a whirlwind of how the fuck am I supposed to break out into the real world once you move out of wearing that school uniform and doing all of those things? And then like, what the fuck am I even going to wear? Like, what is my identity? I don't even know. But how do you even find your identity through clothing if nothing fucking fits you? Because you know, you're 20 kilos heavier. And that was something that I was really, really struggling with at the time. And then the pandemic happened. And I was like, well, now I can hide in my oversized black jumper and track pants. But in the same breath, I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what makes me happy. I don't know what lights me up. And I actually kind of want to use this time to figure that out. And please have some discernment. Like, of course, there were struggles there. I think everyone struggled in some type of capacity, whether they were actually diagnosed with something or not. I think everyone struggled because it was the fear of the unknown. You didn't know what was happening. You were locked in your house. Luckily, like, you know, it wasn't too chaotic, but sometimes I did feel very bored in the house and very like, oh my God, stuck in the house. At that time, I didn't have a home gym or anything like that either. So I had just started getting into gym and stuff when everything shut down, and I was like, what the fuck is my life? I remember doing like an ab workout on the fucking ground of my bedroom, like, kill me now. Like, it's giving Chloe Ting in that era. But the thing was, like, I was like, it's sink or swim for me. And it's not an all or nothing. I wasn't perfect every day. I didn't, you know, do anything crazy, but I didn't want to get stuck in my shit because of the fear of the unknown. And I love how I navigated it. But in the same breath, I'm not going to lie and say that sometimes I'm like trying to remember details and I can't remember them because they're from that time. Or someone will ask me when I did something, or even this came up at the party, like the girl was like, how long have you been a PT for? And I was like, I couldn't even think how long it's been, just because COVID has like fucked everything up. And I was like, oh, I think almost 5 years now. I just can never even remember back. And this is happening a lot. It was Mother's Day recently. And I was like to my partner, what did we do last Mother's Day? I couldn't remember anything. And it's like the world's just frozen. So much has happened in like such amount of time, and everything is moving so fast. And no wonder everyone feels very stuck and behind, because it's like, without being in the real world at that time, because we were on social media, we were comparing. I think this did bring up a lot of insecurities for a lot of people. It brought up a lot of comparisons, and social media went huge. We got a whole new wave of influencers, all of the things. And I've talked about this a little bit. I've only touched on it, but we compare ourselves to these people that are online with a beauty filter, with an excess amount of money, who are very lucky. There's a couple influencers that come to mind, and no shame to them, but they come from very well-off families, so they are quite well off. They don't work jobs. They're influencers. They've got a full wardrobe. Like, you're going to compare yourself subconsciously, whether you know it or not, especially when you're confined in a room, in a space, not leaving the house, not exercising, consuming bad food. And it is this cycle, and that is what happened there. So it's like, what did we miss in that time? It feels like a lot. It feels like we lost so much in our identity. It was like an identity freeze, because we didn't actually have the real world to kind of pull us out of that. So what I mean by that is, like, when you're going to uni, when you're going out on date nights, hanging out with friends, it kind of pulls you back into reality a little bit, because I've said this before, when you walk the streets, at least where I live, you don't necessarily see that many people with Botox and filler and like looking airbrushed. Like, there's real people with real acne scars, real like bare face, real under eye bags, you know what I mean? Like, it's very real, raw reality. And it's like, it confused us with what is actually the norm. And it's like thinking that we are evolving slower than the other person, or slower than the norm, because other people are just seeming better off than us. But that's just social media, right? So I think, if anything, the thing that came out of the pandemic, the overarching thing for me is like, everyone felt not good enough. Everyone felt less than because other people were becoming so successful, having the amazing glowing skin, having all of the things. And it makes you kind of get into this self-sabotaging hole because you're like, why am I not good enough? Why can't I have that thing? Or why can't I be, have the glowing skin? Why do I still have acne and stuff? And in this time, guys, I was doing bad after I was doing good. So I was doing good. I lost 20 kilos, whatever. I was then really thin, but I was skinny fat, right? And then I hated how I looked. And then I started trying to bulk. I didn't really 100% know what I was doing. It was a bit like confusing time. Then this was get into 2022, got diagnosed with PCOS. My skin was going fucking rampant. I had very cystic hormonal acne. I was for everyone gets different symptoms. And I don't want to go into that whole thing. If you want to know more about my story of PCOS and stuff, I have a whole episode on it. But I was struggling with so much hair growth. I was getting really oily scalp and dandruffy scalp, and my skin was getting flaky. When I got sunburnt, I would get fucking blistered burnt. Even I just got sunburnt a little bit on my face, and it burnt red raw, and that was insane to me. So my skin was super sensitive. I wasn't thriving all the fucking time because what was the COVID timeline? 2020 to 2022, you know what I mean? So then I was really, really struggling, and then I had to work I was working face to face at the big gym back then, and I felt insecure every day because I would sit down with new people who wanted to work with me, and I looked inflamed, I looked puffy, my skin looked like shit, and I wasn't thriving. Now, if you looked at me, you'd be like, fuck yeah, she knows what she's talking about. Her skin's glowing, she looks really fit, all of the things. Back then, I didn't feel that, and not that that was ever an issue. As I said, I was fully booked, and a lot of the girls then just loved me for me and my personality and things like that, but I always felt less than. I always was oh my god, my skin looks shit, I look shit, this is shit. So it's really know that no one was thriving in that time, and everyone went through different ebbs and flows, and it's okay, why did we feel behind in all of that? What was actually the thing? And I think it's because around that time, as I say, the timeline's so blurry for me. How many times did you plan things and then each day the cases got worse, each day something happened and you had to rearrange your plans? Or how many times did you even potentially have shifts and then they cut them because they didn't have the money? And so your brain was wired to think, oh, this is going to get cancelled, this is going to go to shit, this isn't going to happen, the day's going to get worse. And if you are from Melbourne, you had it the fucking worst because it literally was full lockdown for a very, very long time. And I can't even imagine, I already think it would be so hard to live in Melbourne with the rain and it's just always so cold and so wet, but I can't imagine living there and then being fully locked down and just the things that we went through. So it's okay, we were comparing ourselves to everyone. Then we're stuck in a room. We're going to go on social media and compare even more. And then we're going to feel more behind and more shit because what the fuck is going on, right? And it's okay, we're living in post-survival mode now, right? I wrote some notes on this and I really liked what I wrote here. So it's it's a coping mechanism post-COVID. I still say, oh, I didn't do X because of COVID. What? I didn't achieve X goal because of COVID. Oh, I don't know, COVID. It's always blaming COVID. And the grief around that is so real. If people invalidate your grief around that, what the fuck? Because how many people lost grandparents in that time? How many people had to cancel holidays that they planned, had to cancel different events that they had going on? Maybe you even had a massive solo traveling holiday planned and you had to cancel the whole thing. And it was okay, we just lost all those years and now there's all this pressure to catch up. Hurry up and go on that holiday. Oh, now you're so old and you need to be having kids, and but now you need to think of buying a house. Oh, and all of this fucking toilet paper is $100,000 and you literally can't get any. It's actually crazy everything that happened at once, and it's all this pressure. Now we don't even know what the fuck we're doing, but we're still using COVID as an excuse, right? So I'm I really do think it fucked our 20s. But in a reality check, I have a little reality check for you. No one is actually ahead of you. Everyone low-key is feeling those same feelings, whether they're guilt, whether they're feeling stuck, whether they're feeling behind, whether they're feeling they didn't excel and take advantage of the time. Because at the end of the day, if you spend that time coloring in and doing stuff to fill your cup, that is what you needed. That's what you needed in that time. You didn't need to be going and doing 20,000 steps a day. You didn't need to be going and doing an ab workout. You didn't need to be going on dates via Zoom. Don't even get me started on dating, actually. The dating pool now would actually be insane. I'm so glad it's not something that I have to navigate, but I I hear so many horror stories of people just always ghosting and never showing up. And I think it's like COVID's given us the permission to just ignore. Like, you just can ignore someone. Someone can literally, you can message someone, they'll message you back, and you just don't even bother. You just don't even bother. Like, what is with that? It's kind of made people more entitled. It's made the dating game harder. It's made the friendship game harder. And it's always like, where can we look to make friendships when everyone's being really introverted? No one wants to text anyone back. People can just so easily ghost you, block you, ignore you. And it's like, how do you actually go about that? And the thing as well now is like, you think, as I said before with my mum, back in their day, and they're not even that old, think your grandparents' day, they were married together, whatever, by like 18, and that was their lifelong partner that they grew old with. Nowadays, especially after the pandemic, no one even wants to commit to anyone. No one actually wants to find a person. It's more men than women, but so many people just want to fuck around. They don't actually want to settle down because they don't want it. Think of who you were in COVID as well. Were you holding on to a relationship because of the uncertainty of COVID? Were you feeling like you needed to be in a relationship because you were isolating alone? Because I know a lot of people progress quite fast in COVID because they kind of probably met someone around just before COVID, and then they wanted to move in, especially again Melbourne, because they were so strict on the rules. You had to like be living together to see that person. And so it really fast tracked and excelled and made or broke, I don't know. It was make or break for a lot of relationships. And it was also a make or break for a lot of friendships. And I think I have so much that I want to say on relationships and how that kind of conforms and forms your identity and stuff as well. And I probably will do a whole episode on it. But it's like, you then couldn't figure out what you wanted and what you needed and how much you actually liked someone, because it was also fast tracked and it felt really like chaotic. And it's like, we were avoiding loneliness because like loneliness can actually cause our immune system to function at a lower capacity. It like less efficient, it's not working as well. Our digestive system is working overtime, and that then puts us at an increased risk of illness, diseases, and anything else. And if you already have one in the family line, like, you're thinking about all these things, right? And you might think, I didn't think about that, but I bet you did. I bet at some point during COVID you were like, oh my god, like, I'm so lonely, I'm feeling the effects, like the physical effects, like my health is struggling, all of the things. So that's a fun fact that I thought I needed to put in there, because I've talked about this before. Our gut health and our immune system and how we actually respond to stresses is really tied up. So if you're someone that really struggles with bloating and gut health and all of the things, how was your gut health in this time? And how are you feeling in terms of loneliness? I'd be so curious to know, because they're actually tied in a nice little bow and they come together well, which I've talked about before. Again, I'm getting so many episode ideas right now. I need to write in another one. But okay, we already know all of this. So how the fuck can we move forward from it and stop dwelling in that situation? So we're constantly thinking about where should we actually be, but in reality, we can't do anything about the lost 3 years. But what we can focus on is what we're going to do in the next 3 months. Reclaim what our next decision actually is going to be. Because if we keep making plans based on where we thought we'd be, we're never actually going to progress forward. And I totally get it. And it's totally normal to feel like, oh, I was supposed to be doing this. I was supposed to like be living there, studying this, whatever the thing may be. But the longer you dwell on that, the longer it's going to like actually block you from moving into that next phase and leveling up your life. So it's like, okay, how can we actually audit where we're at right now and make a new plan and routine for the next 3 to 6 months? And I just did an episode on this, so go back and listen to that, about really just rechecking in and refocusing on the goals that you've made, especially for this year, because you probably did make new goals with your New Year's resolutions, but they probably were tied up into goals that you've probably had for a little while. So right now, is focusing on those things that you're currently focusing on helping you right now, or are they just helping you cope with the past? And then visualizing future you, which I talk about a lot, but it's like really getting in the zone of like, who do you want to be, and going deep. Go so deep. I get a lot of different messages every day about things, and it's always very generic. And I'm like, can you be more specific? Go a little deeper for me. Tell me a little bit more, because I want you to find out the deep desire behind your why. I don't want to just hear, and again, this is going to be a weight loss example because, again, my job, but I don't want to hear, I want to lose weight and turn up. I want to hear, I am so sick of going into the fitting room and feeling like there is no size in that shop to start with, and I'm trying to squeeze into the smallest size, the biggest size that they have, and I'm hating how I look in the fitting room. I'm blaming the lighting, I'm blaming the mirror, but deep down I know it's fucking me. My habits have been shit. I've been emotional eating. I've been scared to step on the scales. Like, I want to hear it all. And it's honest. It's so honest, but I only want to work with honest girls because I know that I couldn't move forward until I started being honest with myself. So getting really honest with what you're actually holding on to and what future you would do differently to what current you is doing, because there's probably a lot in there that has been secretly cock blocking yourself from actually moving forward and achieving the damn thing. I know this was heavy. I know this was a lot, but I just want you to reflect on, yes, we've lost time, right? But everyone lost that time. And I think it's really easy to think, oh, I should have had kids by now. I should have got married. Maybe you're fucking single and you're not even on the apps, which is actually okay. And you're probably beating yourself up. Oh, well, I should have met someone by now. I'm never going to meet anyone. No, the longer that you stay in that negative mindset, the longer you're going to be struggling with that. So I know that the pandemic fucked our 20s. I don't really know a lot of people that it's like a very small percentage that feel like the pandemic was a good fucking time. But I know it fucked our relationships. You probably thought you would be moved out of home by now. Maybe you're even struggling a little bit, living at home, living with all your siblings, being stuck in your tiny bedroom. How can you elevate your bedroom and make it your sanctuary? How can you make it that little bit more cozy? Can you get some LED lights? Can you set up a little bookshelf? Can you set up a little corner for you to do some art or some coloring in? Can you buy a little vanity with your favorite perfumes and your hair devices or whatever the thing may be? How can you make it that little bit more special? Because I love making my space cozy. I have a little cozy blanket. I have like a bolche, so this material quilt and bed. I have a little diffuser. Like, I try to make it as cozy as possible and make it a little bit of a sanctuary, because I work from home, right? So I will move from the office to the gym to the room, and I always want to have like a space that feels really comfortable and not stuck in. A lot of us are like stuck in our childhood bedrooms. It's like, how can you elevate that and make it that little bit better? How can you flip the narrative and think, oh, this didn't work out with this person, but I'm going to move forward. And this is a bit random, but something that happens a lot is a lot of people that you may have spoken to, whether it was friendships, relationships, or even just someone you potentially talked with but never even progressed. Like, think about like those guys that sometimes would like pop up in your DMs and you would like talk, but you wouldn't really talk. Like, you can barely remember their name. If those people are popping up again, do not message them. We don't want to go back into that energy. We don't want to talk to those losers. We're done with them. We have moved on and we've progressed and we've grown. I always think, how much have I grown the past couple years? So much, it's insane. But it's because I don't look back. I don't hold on to the shit. And sometimes, yes, I will talk about, things that happened to me, because I think it's really important for you guys to know that it's so normal and nothing is embarrassing. I've been having this conversation a lot recently. I feel so embarrassed that I'm not here yet. I'm not achieving this. I'm struggling with this. It's not embarrassing. It's just that nobody normalizes it. And I think that's the whole point of navigating your 20s. I'm here to normalize that it's actually okay to not be in the place that you thought you'd be in. It's actually okay to fail. It's actually okay to not to have ticked off all the goals that you thought you would have ticked off by now. And it's like, yeah, it's a little bit scary to think, oh, I thought I'd be further ahead. But what's scarier is staying in the same place and constantly comparing yourself. And I know you're on TikTok all the time, consuming. And how do you leave the end of the day? Probably feeling quite shit. So I really want you to go in and have a look at what your screen time is at the moment, because TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever the thing is, shouldn't be consuming your whole entire life. You shouldn't be looking for dopamine through comparison. I know that if we didn't have social media, we would be a fuck ton happier. Think about your childhood when you would just play outside with the random neighborhood friends and you would talk about who knows fucking what, and you'd have a good fucking time. You'd not even think about an iPad, a phone, whatever. You wouldn't even care what anyone is doing. I know that sometimes even when I'm super stressed out, I'll just keep refreshing my Instagram and just watching random stories. I don't even know who the person is. I couldn't even really care less about this story, but I'll just feel anxious and I'll start avoiding dealing with what I'm feeling anxious about and start just kind of looking at freaking Instagram stories. And that's not helping. So I want you to go in and audit where you're at. Go in and look at your screen time. Where can you reduce how much time you're spending on things? Where can you clean up little areas? For example, I have had on my to-do list for 7 weeks to clear out my phone storage, and I started doing it, and then I was like, this is hard work. I don't want to get rid of these photos. I don't want to remove this. I don't want to remove that, whatever the thing is. And then I've just like put it off, but I've left it on my to-do list. Where can you just tick off little simple tasks like that to just move the needle forward and make things feel a bit more fresh? You would be surprised, but those little tasks that you put off time and time again are holding you back and cock blocking you from elevating and leveling up in your life. I talk about this a lot. Who's that girl? You want to be a new girl. You want to change your life. You want to do the damn thing. What's stopping you right now is not ticking off those 1%ers. Just being 1% better every single day. I know this was a lot. I promise not to talk about COVID again. It's just been on my mind very, very heavy because I think a lot of us are really caught in to how we were, and the years are progressing, the years are moving fast, and we need to move forward. So if you enjoyed the conversation, I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback, but definitely give me a rating here on Spotify, follow the podcast so that we can stay connected and you can get weekly updates every single time I uploaded. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah. That's a wrap on another episode of Navigating Your 20s. Thank you so much for joining me and taking the time to listen. If you enjoyed the conversation, vibes, and got something out of today, please feel free to send me a DM with any key takeaways and feedback, or share on your socials and tag me so we can connect. If you liked today's episode and you're wanting more from me, you can find me on all socials at success.withjess.